Alright, so maybe you've heard about it, but Echo's insane Mythic Plus team managed to time a Magister's Terrace plus 23 for the first time yesterday. And in this video, I want to go over the run and show you guys how they managed to pull it off. I'll highlight the crazy techs they do to ignore entire boss mechanics, show you crazy pulls that would most definitely blow up your entire puck group if they even attempted it, and much more. By the way, these guys are currently on a roll, as they have timed another world first plus 23, and this time it was a Windrunner Spire, which isn't the easiest dungeon in these high key levels. So if you want me going over that one as well, let me know down in the comments below. Oh, by the way, at the time of this video's release, I am live on twitch.tv/Varian. So if you want to see me break some keys on my brew or enhancement shaman live, hop over and say hi in chat when you're done with the video. I'll see you there. All right, let's go. This is a pretty basic team comp to begin with. It's basically the new meta, which is a Guardian Druid, a Mistweaver Monk, Org Evoker, Devourer Demon Hunter, and an Unholy Decay. This build is currently pretty much the Exodia comp. You don't really play anything else anymore in high keys. You still have the team of before they buffed Guardian Druid, which is Brewmaster, Resto Druid, and then the same DPS. But this is currently more sustainable, easier to play, and just way more damage in general, because Guardian is currently going completely ballistic. So this is a simple meta comp, and they start by bloodlusting this pack. Usually pugs bloodlust the second pull, which is way bigger and for the average player base probably more difficult, but this Arcane Sentry will blow you up in high keys. Now, as you've seen, if you didn't know, you can actually shadow melt this targeted ability. You can shadow melt a lot of mechanics this season, like the lasers from the sentries in Skyreach. You can shadow melt these as well. So if you are a Night Elf, always keep in mind that you can shadow melt this, take stress off your healer, saving you another defensive, and making it just way easier in general, so you don't fill up the entire room with these puddles. Just something to keep in mind. It's only a 2-minute cooldown, so use it whenever you can. Now, I don't think there's anything special going on in this pull, so we're just going to skip ahead. And the original video will, by the way, be in the description below, so if you just want to see them in their natural habitat, if you can say so, comms and stuff with their kick callouts and stuff, you can obviously watch that one below. So let's continue. This pull is basically the most basic puck pull that you can pull off. Usually this is where pugs bloodlust, because this is usually the harder pack for most of them. But in a coordinated group like they are, you can just basically kick every single cast, nothing will go off, and you're pretty much never in danger in this situation, unless someone like disconnects something. But usually not a single cast will go off in these packs, so which is also why they don't bloodlust here. They just take their time and just blow everything up, and then they continue. They do another pretty basic pull, which is pretty common now, which tanks do now, because the higher you go, the more dangerous these animated codex become. These will blow you up if you pull like 2 packs or more. That is why you just pull this one right in the back here, and then pull the Blazing Pyromancer with a ranged ability like Crackling, Jade Lightning, or Moonfire in this case towards you. So you can also dodge these guards that will stun you and put you back up. And then they just proceed to blow it all up. Nothing special here. They obviously pick up the book for the extra 5% haste. Just a free buff that just persists through death. 30-minute buff will basically last you the entire dungeon. Just a free buff, always pick it up. And then they continue. The route doesn't really diverge from a lot of puck routes. The only difference is they just pull more or chain pull more. The reason why: augmentation evokers really profit from cleave damage or like attacking more than one mob. Usually an Aug Evoker wants as many mobs as possible to get the most out of its kit and buff the team more, deal more damage and stuff. So you usually always want to avoid pulling a single mob or small packs in general if you have an Aug Evoker. And combined with the Devourer, Demon Hunter, who basically has no cooldowns. They don't really have anything they press and then have like a set cooldown on it. They usually have meta up at all times. Their buttons deal a fuck ton of damage. They don't really have anything to wait for. You just can you can go absolutely ballistic with them. And Unholy Decay is almost pretty much the same. They don't really have that many cooldowns, and if they don't have it up, they still deal a ton of damage. So with this comp, you can honestly go absolutely crazy with pulls if you are in a pre-made environment. If you are in a pug, don't pull these pulls off. Like this one, for example, they pull the Blazing Pyromancer pack. They leave these ones alive, which is honestly, this is scary. As in a pug environment, I would never leave this up, and I would either kill these ones or the ones on the other side. But I would never leave up. But I would never leave both sides up. Now, what they do here, they pull the Blazing Pyromancer pack with these worms, which, by the way, give you a stacking damage buff. They deal a little bit of damage when they explode, but they also give you a stacking damage buff, which goes up to 20. And you will see how they use these worms combined with these worms to get the most out of their damage kit. And they just pull these two together. If you have a coordinated group like this, you can just call out defensives and ask for big heals if you don't have any defensives anymore. So this pull is honestly the smartest thing to do, as you are really, really tight in the schedule, let's say it like that. I think this key was timed with 19 seconds to spare, and they played it close to perfectly. And if they don't pull, and if they don't do crazy pulls like this, which is, by the way, one of the mildest pulls in this entire run, you simply won't be able to time it. Now, the boss goes into the intermission phase, where you just have to soak these orbs. Usually, the tank does that because he can tank like 5 to... because he can simply soak like 5 to 6 without having any issues. But here, everyone is pressing their defensives. The Unholy Decay pressed his AMS, and then just ran in a circle, grabbed all the orbs, and then just continued. Now they will start pulling these worms, because their damage buff ran out. So they will just kill these worms, and as you can see, they now have a, I think it's a 12% or 24%. I might be mistaken right now. I forgot the exact stats, but they have a stacking damage buff which will last for 15 seconds, which is honestly big, especially for specs and classes that simply don't have any cooldowns, so you don't have to really time these things. So another intermission. As you can see, the Andy, who is the tank, is keeping the boss relatively centered. He's just rotating from this spot to this spot, and then moving over to this spot, and then this spot. And every second puddle cast, he will just go into his intermission, where he will tank them right here. He will always end up right here, so the orbs don't spawn in every direction, but just from like here, which is like 50% less of where they could spawn, making the fight a little bit easier. So I don't think there's anything else crazy going on here. So we're just gonna skip ahead. And then this pull is really, really scary. They pull both sides of the Blight Scale worms, which, as I said, massive damage intake, but also massive damage output if they survive it and keep the stacks. Then they pull these Rune Spellbreakers, which is probably the most dangerous mob in this entire dungeon, including the tank, including the bosses. So usually pulling anything else with these Rune Spellbreakers is a guaranteed wipe in park environments. But these crazy lads, they just continue. The monk proceeds to incap one of the healers, so they don't actually blow up, because if you didn't know, the light ward healers, they have a nasty dot, which I can show you right here. They have a nasty dot, which is Holy Fire, and it just deals massive damage over 15 seconds. You can press defenses, but it will just make the entire fight harder for no reason. So they incapped one. They also do Power Word Shield, which just gives them a 20% HP shield. They obviously don't want that, which is why they incapped one and then pulled these two away, so he stays right here. And once this pack is done, they just proceed to kill it, press defensives the moment these worms die. As you can see, they are getting chunked incredibly hard, even though they all press defensives. So they just proceed to kill these, taking advantage of the damage buff they get. And then they take the healer and then move it over to this pack, which doesn't have a healer, making it a bit easier by separating these two healers and spreading them across 2 different pulls. So the healer has less things to worry about, and the DPS just have a way easier time managing to survive. Now, I don't think there's a lot going on here. Here, Spec, or better known as Stove, is going to reposition to stay melee. Because if you didn't notice, the Spellwoven Familiar jumps towards a random player and just deals AoE damage around it. Prevent the damage loss, he decides to stack up with the rest of the team. So if the Spellwoven Familiar ever targets him again, it will just jump to melee range, continuing the cleave damage and then just blowing it up. Alright, now we kill the Spellbreaker, and then we move on to the most dangerous pack of all. This is usually where you should Bloodlust, in keys above +12 probably. They decide to pull both of these packs, which is honestly dangerous, but you can pull it off if you have Bloodlust, as I said. But they make it way easier by just incapping another Lightboard healer. And then the Unholy DK will proceed to grab him away from these packs, so this guy doesn't accidentally snap out of its incap. They leave him there. 1 minute is plenty enough to kill this pack, especially with Bloodlust. And then they blow everything up, blow every cooldown, and then they focus down the Spellbreaker, who is the most dangerous mob of this entire dungeon, and there's 2 of them this time, so really required to have a coordinated group here with defensives, with heals, with cooldowns, and with a solid focus. So if you have a target that just focuses the wrong mob or spreads their entire damage, this will just become way harder. They decided to focus down 1 and blow that one up, so they don't have 2 stacking Ruined Glaive debuffs running at all times. Then they grab the Lightboard healer back and just pull him with the boss. As I said, better for the Orc Evoker, better for the Dev Demon Hunter. Overall, not a dangerous pull. You can just dispel the Holy Fire damage here, because it just jumps on 1 guy, I think, and doesn't really deal a lot of damage if you just instantly remove it. You can also remove the shield that you just saw. The Lightboard healer gave the boss a shield, and the Demon Hunter decided to use his remove magic ability to dispel it, basically, and then just basically nullifying the entire existence of this mob. He's just a damage sponge, increasing the damage of every member of the party, and just makes the fight a little bit easier. Now, there's not much going on in this entire fight except here, which I don't know if it's just a Demon Hunter tech that just I simply didn't know about, but there's a neat little trick here which Stove is going to pull off relatively soon, which I think is right here. Yeah, exactly. It is right here. If you notice, he will never move into the circle. Now, I was confused at first. As you can see, he just ignored the entire mechanic, just stood there like a champ and just continued blasting. But I needed a bit to realize what just happened and how he just ignored the entire mechanic and prevented him from getting silenced. And I found out that if you press Metamorphosis at the perfect timing, you become untargetable for a split second, is my theory. As you can see, the second this wave of silence goes off, he jumps into his meta and basically becoming untargetable, and he's not able to attack here. So my theory is whenever you go into meta, you become untargetable for a split second. He took advantage of that and basically ignored the entire mechanic by pressing it the second this wave goes off, dodging, basically dodging the silence here. Now, I don't know if that works for every single Demon Hunter spec. I haven't tried it on Vengeance yet, but if you knew about it, let me know down in the comments. But I feel like this was a rather hidden tech. As I said, I don't play Demon Hunter. Maybe this is just like the most basic Demon Hunter 101 guide trick that everyone knows once they start playing Demon Hunter, but I didn't. And it looked quite cool, honestly. All right. Anyway, I don't think there's anything else happening here. They just have a really coordinated fight, calming who's going into the bubble first, who's supposed to press defensives, who's getting big heals, and so on. So we can probably just skip ahead to this moment here. Now, usually as a tank, I go ahead and pull this pack, sometimes this pack, but usually I only pull this pack, kill this one, and then move on, pull the small guys, and pull these, and then pull the big boy. When this pack becomes low, or these guys die, I just proceed to pull these until the big guy dies, and then I chain pull them into these. Now, I'm obviously not as good as these guys. What they decide to do is they wait a split second until the tank gains aggro on these mobs, because if they somehow snap onto you, you will die, especially in a plus 23. But they decide to press defensives and keep running. The reason why they press defensives is because these hollow soul shredders, they just jump on random targets, attack you, deal damage. And to prevent them from dying, they just press defensives, and then they just pull everything to the mini boss and then blow everyone up, press every single cooldown. As you can see, dealing up to 700k damage here, 800k on the unholy, both reaching about a mil damage, both reaching about 1 million DPS, which is insane. Not many DPS can pull this number off in general, not even in Alpha Academy and stuff. But this is insane damage numbers, making the taking the best out of their spec and class. And basically, they literally just blew up this entire pack. Now, it really isn't as difficult as you might think to pull this off. This is most definitely not the hardest pull that you can pull off in this run. But the only issue is you have to kick this dreadful Voidwalker. Now, they are a coordinated group, as I said. They are just calming who kicks next, whose turn it is for kicks. And they also call out when they need defensives or when they press defensives. The Devourer has it a little bit easier, as when they kick, they just gain a flat magic resistance buff for, I think, 12 seconds. So they just have a buff up at all times. The biggest damage intake is from the Shadow Rift Voidcaller, the mini-boss that just deals pulsing damage into the fight, a few seconds into the fight. And if you can survive this, this pack isn't really that bad. So they kill the pack, pull these small guys with them, and go for another crazy pull, which is pulling 3 Void Terrors. Now, pulling 2 Void Terrors and Pugs is already scary enough, but if you have an Orc Evoker who has tons of CC and comms, you can just call out who kicks what, and then this shouldn't be any problem. Now, obviously, they are not done, because they need to save time as much as possible. They are already 20 minutes into the run, and they need to make the most out of the fight. So they go through the middle, dodge these dreadful Voidwalkers, 2 on this side, 1 on this side, and the Void Terror. They pull everything together, do another big, massive pull, no Bloodlust, just cooldowns, reaching up to 750k damage, and just blowing this entire pack up, coordinating who kicks what, CCing when it's up. Mostly the job of the Guardian Druid and Healer and Orc Evoker. They have the most CC in this group. Dev, Demon Hunter, and Unholy Decay don't really have that much CC, but the other 3 guys can honestly handle a lot of AoE CCs without worrying or without the fear of dying. Now the Shadow Rift Voidcaller starts casting Consuming Shadows, which is like the pulsing AoE damage. The DK just drops an AMZ, which is enough, combined with the healing of the Mistweaver, to basically ignore this mechanic. Now, they kill everything, start pulling one by one these small packs now, which require kicks, and then they reduce the size of this pull, and then they want to kite it out, but they kind of mess up, as the as the Augmentation Evokers right here, or the image of the Augmentation Evokers right here, which pulls the boss. Now, this isn't really that bad. You don't have any kicks to worry about at this boss. They just probably wanted a little bit more mana on the healer, but as you will find out, they will be completely fine. They will also proceed to pull another Voidwalker to maximize the damage output on the Orc Evoker and the Devastation Demon Hunter, and then they just keep on blasting. Now, as a tank, your job is to basically follow one of these 2 small guys around at all times. As you might know, these guys share a health bar. The big Gamulus and the small Gamulus, or the Gamuli. What's the plural of Gamulus? Anyway, they all share the same health pool. So if you just follow one of the small guys around, you can maximize your damage output by just damaging two versions of him at once. basically dealing the maximum amount of damage. And it is automatically a cleave fight, which most classes profit from. So they pull the other Void Walker after the first one is dead, so they can focus on the damage without having to kick at all times. And then they just blow everything up. Nothing special going on here anymore. They honestly, puddle placement is about the same as pugs. It doesn't really matter anyway. You can, these small Gamulus guys, they just move around randomly anyway. So can't really predict where they go, especially after the second spawn. But nothing really happening here. Grivy dies. I don't know where he is though. There he is. He's right there. He dies to something. What does he die to? I'm pretty sure he dies to the dot that the boss puts on everyone, but I might be mistaken. If you know how he dies, let me know down in the comments, but I just can't figure it out. But he basically gets rezzed the second after to not lose any time. They are already 30 seconds behind now with 2 deaths, and they just have to keep going, have to react instantly to deaths like that. They still have 2 combat reses up, which one of them is going to be used here again probably because the healer died. Because he pulled aggro of these shredders again. So they just keep going. This is a pretty basic pull. I do this also. Every pug does this. Nothing special going on here. Just a big pull, big damage big damage output. The only difference is they pulled another Void Terror, which is patrolling in this middle area right here. They just pull him off when he's away from the Shadow Rift Void Caller. Because if they pulled this, he would be dead. They just pulled another Void Terror and then continue to go upwards. Now they prepare their focus kicks and then just do the same pull that any pug does. Psych, you thought, because they just go to the other side and pull the other packs as well, because they need count, because they skipped a lot in the beginning. As you might have guessed, this is not a viable pug pull. If you did this, you would get flamed. You would probably get reported to Blizzard, and you might as well get banned. Because this is not a pug worthy or pug viable route. If you did this, you would probably instantly die, as there's 4 Void Terrors casting at all times right now. But they have good comms. They kick whenever they are called out to kick. They CC whenever they can. Everything is timed perfectly. There's no danger here. Just a massive pull with maximized damage. As I said, Orgivoker wants as many mobs as possible in the pull. So this is why they do this. And then they kill everything. And then they skip these 2 last guys. You can't really pull these guys going up of like... if you do any keys above plus 16, you should really never pull these 2 guys anymore, because they will take ages to kill, and they just deal a massive amount of damage. You can die as a tank even if you press defensives, even if your healer gives his best to keep you up. But just avoid these, and you do this by either using your mobility spells like the Demon Hunter is using. You can use a Warlock Gate to bring your entire team with you. You can use the Demon Hunter carry, which happened right here because the monk can't go over there. And you can also use the stone that the Augmentation Evoker gives you. So always make use of that. And then we have the last boss right here. Now on this boss, the craziest tech I've seen is the tank puts down the puddle that you get after dispelling the tank mechanic under the boss. So they maximize the space they have. This is something that a lot of tanks do. I started doing this as well, but it is still rather unknown because some people think that staying under the boss deals damage. It doesn't. You just have to dodge this line here. If you get hit by the line, you might take a lot of damage and die because you get stunned as well. But your choices as a tank is either going inside the boss right here and just telling the healer to dispel you there. Go out to the outer circle and put it down there, because nothing is really happening out here, but then you lose a lot of damage, which as a Guardian Druid you definitely don't want. Or you just rotate from left to right and dispel it whenever you can. But then you have a lot less room to play with. And if one of these volleyball mechanics spawn in the puddle, you might take a lot of unnecessary damage. So put it down under the boss and you're good to go. Now, they play this fight perfectly. Soak every volleyball mechanic. Press defensives whenever they have the orb thingy up, which by the way deals a lot of damage, so always press the defensive if you can. And then the Augie Walker calls out for a defensive because he doesn't have any anymore. Our Demon Hunter jumps over, gives him darkness and goes back to his position, so he can so he doesn't lose that angle on the volleyball. They just continue fighting, nothing crazy going on here anymore, and timer is getting tighter and tighter. It's getting more difficult as goes on. These guys are starting to get their heart rates up because it is time to time the key, and then they simply time the key with around 19 seconds left, I believe. Yeah, 19 to 18 seconds, 18.5 seconds left, and they had 3 deaths, which were kind of preventable. They had room for 1 more death. Probably not on the boss, because if someone died on this boss right here, it would have been a wipe, because the cast time, getting up, getting the damage back up, probably losing one or two cooldowns. It might have been the reason why they couldn't have timed this key. But anyway, they did it. Insane feat of strength, honestly. Strong players in the Mythic Plus scene. I can only recommend you to keep up to date with these guys. If you want to see me reacting to the Windrunner Spire version, there's also a VOD available for that one. It is another world record. If you want me to go over this one as well, you can let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, consider subscribing and liking this video. And I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.